Thanks. Good afternoon. Thank everyone for being here, both in person and virtually. Of course, I also too want to acknowledge that we're on the unceded traditional territories of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Today, we are announcing some changes, both in operations and public measures the city is taking to help limit the spread of COVID-19. But first, the latest numbers continue to demonstrate that despite the extraordinary efforts of federal, provincial, and local governments, we are one of the hardest hit regions in the country. As of yesterday, Canada had 846 COVID-19 cases, BC 271, and Vancouver Coastal Health with 152 cases as of yesterday. This means our health region has 56% of the cases in British Columbia and 18% of the cases in the entire country. That is why we cannot rest, we cannot slow down. That is why we need to keep taking bold action. Yesterday, Council declared a state of emergency in the city of Vancouver, and I want to thank Council for their swift leadership on this motion. I'd like to also quickly talk about some of the differences between the provincial state of emergency and the Vancouver state of emergency. While the provincial declaration allows us some added powers like prohibiting travel, evacuating people, and procuring supplies, our declaration provides the further ability to restrict the use or occupancy of any premises in the city. We are doing this because Vancouver is in a unique situation. We have more than 10,000 highly vulnerable people who are at high risk if they become infected with COVID-19. And that is why over the last few days, we have asked food and beverage serving establishments to close to the public and only open for takeout or delivery. Now, while compliance has continued to rise, especially among the larger establishments and chains, I spoke with Police Chief Adam Palmer this morning, and his officers are still observing people in restaurants and cafes in close proximity despite our best efforts. That is why we are exercising our new emergency powers. By order of the city manager, all restaurants and bars are to discontinue dine-in service effective midnight tonight. Again, all restaurants and bars are to discontinue dine-in service effective midnight tonight. Failure to comply will lead to prosecution. Chief Reid will be giving more details on this order, but I want to speak about how serious this decision is. It will mean serious hardship for people, workers, and business owners. But this is an action that is implemented in many other cities around the world, and we felt we needed to act sooner rather than later. Some will ask why. And why is because it's all about keeping people safe. Now, before people ask about other retail establishments, I want to say that many businesses are doing the right thing. They are limiting the number of people in their stores, they are switching to delivery, or they are making the difficult decision to close. But Chief Palmer told me his officers observed a number of private recreation facilities open, like fitness centers and bowling alleys. My message to all retailers who remain open is this: now is the time to take aggressive action to do your part to limit the spread of COVID-19. If we continue to see non-essential retailers and service providers ignoring our new reality, we will not hesitate to take further action. Now, like I said, these changes and the new reality is having significant economic impacts on our local economy, especially for small businesses who may not have the fiscal capacity to withstand a long closure. And I want you all to know that we hear you. Councillors in particular have been working hard to find ways to do everything we can to support you. That is why, as an immediate relief measure, Council and I are directing our finance team to implement a 60-day grace period for all property tax payments. Again, Council and I are directing our finance team to implement a 60-day grace period for all property tax payments. We are working on this now, and details will follow soon. I'm also announcing today the formation of an economic recovery task force. I've spoken with the Vancouver Board of Trade, local BIAs, and staff have already tasked the Vancouver Economic Commission with outreach to our business community. This task force will bring together all the efforts into one coordinated place and will unite all of our senior finance staff to look at options to assist our local economy with immediate assistance and longer-term recovery. And what we need to ask, and especially what we need to ask from senior levels of government. We already have some specific economic asks to support local businesses to the province, and thanks to the quick work of the Intergovernmental Working Group. First, we are asking the province to expand the residential tax deferment program to cover all Class 1 residential, Class 6 business, and Class 8 non-profit properties. Second, we're asking the province to implement a business tax deferment program to support landlords and tenants and ensure that any benefits derived from the program are passed on to tenants. And third, we are asking the province to standardize the remittances of all provincial taxes we collect on their behalf and keep working on more longer-term supports. We are also seeing civil society groups come together to provide much-needed support for nonprofits and community-serving organizations. More details will be released this afternoon, but it will help private sector, philanthropic organizations, and individuals get involved and help support people in most need during this difficult time. Now I want to turn to our highest priority, vulnerable populations, especially those living in the downtown east side. We've been saying for some time that we need to help ensure there are real options for people to self-isolate in the event they become ill. Our staff are working hard to make sure frontline workers, nonprofits, and residents have what they need to stay safe, but still need more support from federal and provincial governments that I will continue to press for. We have developed a detailed list of requests, and I will have more details on that tomorrow. But for now, at the local level, staff have made significant progress, and General Manager Sanders Singh will have more details on that front. But first, I'll bring Sadhu back up here, and he has very important operational updates. Before I turn it over to Sadhu, however, I want to deliver two final messages. First, to our staff, thank you for your tireless work. While we keep telling the public that they need to stay home and limit their time outside, we have dedicated people here on the front lines that are keeping essential services open. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are working hard, and we need to help you. So to everyone out there, my message is clear. You need to stay home so they can keep you safe. Finally, I want to speak directly to anyone who up until now hasn't taken this situation seriously. The changes being announced today are major. They will deeply impact our small business community and will mean many, many people will be laid off or need to close their businesses. We're doing this because we think this is what we need to do to keep vulnerable people from getting seriously ill or worse. In the last number of days, I've had hundreds of business owners email me and tell me how hard this has been. But despite this, the vast majority have done the right thing, even though it will cost them a great deal. What we're asking for from the vast majority of people is to do far, far less. We're asking you just stay home, stay away from others, and stay safe. It might seem like a lot. It might sound like an overreaction. But when you compare it to what first responders are dealing with, what nurses and doctors are dealing with, what seniors are dealing with what those laid off are dealing with, and what small business owners are dealing with, it's not too much to ask. So please, if you haven't taken this seriously, now is the time. And if you know someone who still thinks this doesn't apply to them, urge them to join in. Join the hundreds of thousands of people who are fighting for their city and fighting for each other. Thank you very much, and I'll take questions at the end.